Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is called Why You Should Stop Dictating How Others Deal with Their Problems. This topic has been on my mind lately, and it all started when I was thinking about a story from a few years ago. Back when I was really struggling with anxiety, I used to make these frequent trips to the hospital. It was my way of trying to get a handle on it, But my mom, she'd always have something to say. She'd tell me I shouldn't have gone to the hospital, that I should have done this instead, or handled it a different way. And while I know she meant well, that constant stream of "you should have" started to get to me. It made me think of how common this is. People love to tell you how you should be handling your own problems, don't they? As if there's some universal rule book for life that we're all supposed to follow. The reality is, we all deal with things in our own way. And just because my way of dealing with anxiety, or anything else for that matter, doesn't line up with your expectations, it doesn't make it wrong. We're all built differently, and that includes how we manage stress, trauma, or even the everyday ups and downs of life. Take mental health as a prime example. Some people are going to deal with anxiety or depression by seeking therapy. Others might lean on medication. And some, like I did at the time, feel the need to get checked out at the hospital to rule out anything serious. None of these approaches are wrong. They're just different. What works for one person might not work for someone else, and that's perfectly fine. Yet, we often hear people saying, "You shouldn't do this," or "You should have done that." But why? Just because something worked for you doesn't mean it's the magic cure for everyone else. It's like me telling someone with asthma how to handle an asthma attack. I have no idea what that feels like. I've never experienced it, so who am I to dictate how they manage it? The same applies to anyone dealing with a chronic condition, whether it's asthma, seizures, or something like multiple sclerosis. I don't know their reality. And even if I did have some experience with it, I still can't tell them exactly how to manage their condition, because we're all different. Even two people with the same illness will have different experiences and different ways of coping. But here's the thing. People are always going to try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. That's just how some folks are wired. But in the end, it's your life, your choices, and your consequences. You're the one who has to live with the decisions you make, not them. If you're satisfied with how you handle the situation, that's what matters. It doesn't matter if someone else disagrees with your methods. This reminds me of a situation last year at McDonald's. There was this manager there who was just straight up rude. His attitude was terrible, and the way he spoke to people was incredibly disrespectful. One day, I'd had enough and decided to call him out on it. It wasn't a huge argument or anything, but I definitely confronted him. Later, when I told my dad about it, he thought I had handled it wrong, that I shouldn't have said anything. But here's the thing. I'm not my dad. I'm my own person, and I chose to deal with the situation the way I felt was right at the time. Parents especially sometimes forget that their kids are individuals with their own way of navigating life. Just because my dad would have stayed quiet doesn't mean my choice to speak up was wrong. I think a lot of the tension comes from how advice is given. People might think they're helping, but the way they say it can feel judgmental or condescending. It's one thing to offer suggestions, but when someone starts telling you what you should have done, it just feels like they're dictating your life for you. It's all about the approach. You can say almost anything to someone, but how you say it is key. Instead of coming at someone with a "you should have done this" attitude, it might be more helpful to say, "Maybe next time you could try this." That way, you're not coming across as preachy or aggressive. You're offering a suggestion, not an order. Because when you dictate how someone should behave, it feels like you're imposing your worldview onto them. It's forceful, and no one responds well to that. So the takeaway here is that people are always going to have opinions on how you should handle situations. But at the end of the day, you have to do what works for you. People will try to make you feel like you're wrong, or even weak, for not doing things their way. But that has more to do with their issues than yours. You're the one living your life, and if you're happy with how you're handling things, then keep doing what's best for you. Anyway, that's all for today's episode of Moore's October Rants. Thanks for listening, and remember, don't let anyone tell you how to live your life. You've got this. Signing out, and have a good one. Goodbye.